Shalom, Israel. Shalom. Thawada for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in this evening to another Bible Basis class. I am your teacher this evening, and to my right,
Is Aman.
Aman Allah. And the title of the class is "The Bible is Black History." So you know, in this nation that we live in, they very generously have given us a month to celebrate and to recognize Black history. Right now, it just happens to be the shortest month in the entire year. Coincidence? I don't know.
No.
But I do understand that we don't, as there, who as an individual or as a group of people, have the have that power. Excuse me, have the power in this land to go and change our Black History Month from February to any other month. What individual, what people, group of Black people have that power, right? What group of people or what persons, what Black persons has the power to go to the government, to the legislative board, to whoever and say, look, it is incredibly disrespectful that giving us a month for Black history in the first place, B, giving us the shortest month, we want a larger month, right? Who has the power to do that? None of us. No Blacks, no Hispanics, no Natives. We don't have that power, right? So, let's find out why we don't have that power in this land, why we don't have that power in any land, right? Let's go to John 8 and 32.
Okay. Lucky Mark Luke. John 8 and 32. John 8 and 32. The Pharisees heard that the people murmured such things concerning him. I'm in 7. Excuse me, y'all. My bad. 8 and 32. It wasn't 7. And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. So let's get the truth on the Bible. Let's get the truth on who these Israelites are. Let's go to Lamentations 4 and 8. We're going to prove that the Israelites, the people of the Bible, the main subject people of the Bible are Black people, right? We're going to show that in the Bible. There are a number of scriptures that show that Israelites are the Bible, that Israelites are Black, that Christ was Black. So we can prove that.
Excuse me, y'all. I'm kind of slow today.
So yeah, a lot of us are starting to come into the knowledge of we Black people are actually the people of the Bible, right? So that knowledge is starting to pick up, but it seems like people who learn this knowledge are happy to know that, and they don't have any other questions. They know fully on well that they are Black just like the Israelites of the Bible, and they are more than likely the descendants, and they're happy with that. No question as to why they're just now finding out this information. No question as to why it hadn't been passed down to them from their parents or their grandparents. Why we were completely in the dark until now, right? So let's figure this out in the Bible. Go ahead.
Lamentations 4 and 8. Their visage is blacker than a coal. They are not known in the streets, and their skin cleaveth to their bones. It is withered, it has become like a stick.
So it says their vestige is blacker than coal. That's their skin, their appearance, right? So this is one clear example that the Israelites are Black, right? Grab Lamentations 5 and 10.
right here. Our skin was black like an oven because of the terrible famine.
So this is another example of black skin because of a terrible famine, right? But even a famine couldn't change white skin to black, right? So that it had to be a darker shade, right? Let's grab Song of Solomon 1 and 5. So these are two, and we're going to grab another example of Israelites, the people of the Bible, who are described as with blacker than coal, and black skin, right? You can also see in a number of different books by these other nations that describe the Israelites or the Jews as black, as ruddy, as dark skinned. So don't take my word for it. Do your research. Read the Bible yourself, and do your extra biblical research. Go ahead and read that.
Song of Solomon 1 and 5. I am black, but comely, O ye daughters of Jerusalem, as the tents of Kedar.
The tents of Kedar are dark black, right? Read.
As the curtains of Solomon.
As well as the curtain of Solomon. So this is another passage that's further supporting that the Israelites were melanated people, right? Grab Acts 13 and 1. We're going to grab it in the New Testament as well to let you know that this wasn't just an Old Testament thing. Man, all praises to the Most High.
Acts 13 and 1. And now there were in the church that was in Antioch certain prophets and teachers.
Prophets and teachers, we know that these are Israelites. Read.
As Barnabas and Simeon, that was called Niger.
They were called Niger, right? It's how we're gonna say it. Read.
Mm-hmm. And Lucius of Cyrene and Manan, which had been brought up with Herod the Tetrarch and Saul.
So these were the teachers that were in Antioch, right? And they were called Niger, right? That's Niger, and in the Strong's that's G3526. And Niger, one of the other pronounces is Neeg-ER. That sounds a little closer to
nigger.
What blacks have been referred to here in these lands. But the definition is of Latin origin, right? Black, Niger, or a Christian, right? And so what this is saying is that the first Christians, those who were repented and knew about Christ and followed Christ, they were called Christians. We're not talking about we're not talking about Christianity of this day, but we're actually talking about those who were following Christ, that were doing what Christ had commanded to do, those Christians, right? So let's grab Genesis 9 and 18, and we can see that the Niger there, that these people were called, they were called that because they were blacks, Christians, right? Christ followers. Go ahead and read that when you get it.
Genesis 9 and 18. And the sons of Noah that went forth of the ark were Shem and Ham and Japheth. And Ham is the father of Canaan. These are the three sons of Noah, and of them was the whole earth overspread.
So these are the three sons of Noah, right? It was 8 people in all that survived the flood. And so Noah, his wife, and then his 3 sons and their wives. And of the earth, everyone is a descendant of one of the 3 sons of Noah, right? Ham, Japheth, and Shem. So let's get the definition of Ham, which is H2526 in the Strong's. And it means hot, or from a tropical habitat, right? So this is a hot area, or Cham, Sham, a son of Noah, also his descendants, or the country, right? So it's talking about the son of Ham, his descendants, or actually the land that they lived in, right? The land that belonged to Ham. So let's Yeah, let's grab the definition of ham from the Zondervan Bible Dictionary. Go ahead and read that, Ahmad.
Khan from the Zondervans. Ham, the youngest son of Noah, the progenitor of the dark races.
So Ham is a progenitor of the dark races, right? That's where the dark people come from. Read.
Not the Negroes.
Not the Negroes.
Ooh.
So this is what the Zondervan is saying is that of all of the dark races on the planet, there are at least two different dark races, right? At least two. One is Ham and the descendants of Ham, and the other is the Negroes, right? Because here it's saying very clearly that the descendants of Ham are not the Negroes, right? So let's find out who these descendants of Ham are. Read.
But the Egyptians.
The Egyptians, read.
Ethiopians.
The Ethiopians, read.
Libyans and Canaanites.
Libyans and Canaanites. So what we are seeing here is that the Negroes are a different black people than the black people of Africa in this time. These are different people than the Negroes. Different bloodline. They are not descendants from. They are descendants from Ham and not Shem or Japheth, right? So let's grab. Go to Psalms 105, and we're going to read 23.
Psalms 105 and 23. Israel also came into Egypt.
So Israel also came into Egypt, right? This is the land of the Egyptians. Read.
And Jacob sojourned in the land of Ham.
So Egypt, or the descendants of Ham, their land is Egypt. Here, where it says Jacob sojourned, right? So the land of Ham. They sojourned in the land of Ham, which was Egypt, right? So let's go to Genesis 37, and we're going to start at verse 20. Because what we're going to see is that the Israelites, who are descendants of Shem, are black people, just like the descendants of Ham are also black people, like the Egyptians per se, right? So let's go ahead and read that. We're going to read. This is Joseph and his brother selling him into slavery. Go ahead and read. 37 and 20.
Come now, therefore, and let us slay him and cast him into some pit. And we will say, some evil beast has devoured him, and we shall see what will become of his dream.
So this is the 11 to 12 brothers, or the brothers of Joseph, setting him up to take his life, right? Read.
And Reuben heard it, and he delivered him out of their hands, and said, let's not kill him. And Reuben said unto them, don't shed blood, but let's cast him into this pit that's in the wilderness, and let's not lay a hand on him, that he might rid him out of their hands, to deliver him to his father again.
Read.
And it came to pass, when Joseph was come unto his brothers, that they stripped Joseph out of his coat of many colors that was on him.
Joseph had the coat of many colors that a lot of us heard about in Christianity, right? Read.
And they took him and cast him into a pit, and the pit was empty. There was no water in it. And they sat down to eat bread, and they lifted up their eyes and looked. And behold, a company of Ishmaelites came from Gilead with their camels bearing spicery and balms and myrrh, going to carry it down to Egypt.
Read.
And Judah said to his brethren, what profit is it if we slay our brother and conceal his blood?
Read.
Come and let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother and our flesh. And his brothers were content.
So Reuben convinced his brothers not to commit a sin and kill their brother, but rather to sell him into slavery, right? Uh, it's a lesser sin, maybe. I don't know. Go to Genesis 40, Roland, and we're gonna see what happens with Joseph in Egypt, 41 and 39.
Con. Verse 39. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, for as much as God has showed thee all this, there is none so discreet and wise as thou art.
So Joseph had interpreted some dreams of the Pharaoh and impressed him to the point where he had great favor with Joseph. Right? Read.
And thou shalt be over my house, and according unto thy word shall all my people be ruled. Only in the throne will I be greater than you.
So Pharaoh gives almost complete power of the land over to Joseph because he's so pleased with him, right? Read.
And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, see, I have set thee over all the land of Egypt.
So Joseph is set all over all the land of Egypt, right? Let's go to chapter 42, and we're going to start at verse 5.
Verse 5. And the sons of Israel came to buy corn among those that came, for the famine was in the land of Canaan.
So Joseph's brothers who sold him into slavery are now faced with hard times. There's a famine on their horizon, and they're running out of provisions, right? Read.
And Joseph was the governor over the land, and he it was that sold to all the people of the land.
So Joseph was wise and stacked up like he needed to because he knew of the famine that was incoming, and so he had all the crops to sell to the people. Right? Read.
And Joseph's brothers came and bowed themselves down before him with their faces to the earth. And Joseph saw his brothers, and he knew them, but made himself strange unto them, and spake roughly unto them. And he said unto them, whence come ye? And they said, from the land of Canaan to buy food. And Joseph knew his brothers, but they knew him not.
So Joseph knew that these were his brothers, right? He recognized them, but because of the time that had passed, because of perhaps his physical appearance, they didn't recognize him. Certainly because they didn't think that he would have become the ruler of Egypt, right? So this is a clear example of how Joseph not only was able to go into Egypt and rise to power because of his faith and because of the way that he moved, trusting in the Most High, but also it's a clear example of how he was able to blend in with Egypt, being a dark-skinned man, to the point where his brothers didn't recognize him, right? Even though they are not Egyptians. So this is an example of that, right? Let's go to Matthew chapter 2 and verse 13.
Matthew 2 and verse 13.
Read.
Oof. And when they were departed, behold, the angel of the Lord, Yahweh, appearing to Joseph in a dream, saying, arise and take the young child and his mom.
Arise, Joseph, and take Yahweh Shai and Mary, read.
And into Egypt, flee into Egypt, and be thou there until I bring thee word, for Herod will seek the young child to destroy him.
Herod had been told of this Savior that was being born and was seeking to destroy him because he didn't want to risk losing power, right? And so Joseph was warned by the Lord to flee and go into Egypt, right? It's easy for him to go into Egypt and hide because he looks like the people, right? So here we have two distinct situations where Israelites were able to flee into Egypt because we look like the people. We were both dark-skinned people, right? But just because we look alike doesn't mean that we are the same people, right? Let's grab Exodus 11 and 7. There's an important distinction between these Israelites and the Shemites, or the Hamites, right? The Egyptians and all of the other descendants of Ham, right? An important distinction. Let's figure it out. Go ahead and read.
Exodus 11:7. But against any of the children of Israel shall not a dog move his tongue against man or beast, that ye may know how the Lord Yahweh doth put a difference between the Egyptians and Israel.
So it is the Most High that put a difference between Israel and the Egyptians, right? To the point where he calls Israel his children, right? Let's get some more information, right? Clearly, he thinks higher of these Israelites than the Egyptians. Grab Deuteronomy 7 and verse 6. Let's find out what the Most High God, how he feels about Israel, right? Who he made a clear distinction between the Egyptians and, made it clear that no one is to even speak in a way that is disrespectful or hostile towards his children, right? Read.
Deuteronomy 7:6. For thou art a holy people unto Yahweh thy God.
So we are a holy people, holy meaning separate or apart, right? Read.
Yahweh thy God hath chosen thee to be special unto himself.
So the Most High God chose these people, right? Read.
Above all people that are upon the whole face of the earth.
Above all people on the earth, the Most High God, the creator of everything, has chosen Israel, right? That's why it is so important for us to know who we are and who we are not, right? Read.
Yahweh did not set his love upon you, nor choose you because you were more in number than any other people, for ye were the fewest of all people.
Let's go to Exodus 19. We're going to start at verse 4. You read verse 22? I'm sorry. Go to Joel 2 and 27. So of all the people on the face of the earth, all the people that's ever been created, Israelites are the people that the Most High God chose over all of these other people, right? Israelites are from the lineage, the patrilineage of Shem, and they are the chosen people, and not the sons of the other brothers, Ham or Japheth, right? Go ahead and read that.
Joel 2 and 27. And ye shall know that I am in the midst of Israel, and that I am Yahweh your God, and none else. And my people shall never be ashamed.
The Most High is only dealing with Israel. He's in the midst of Israel and Israel only, right? Let's grab 1 Chronicles 17 and 22. So I'm grabbing examples, clear examples in the Old Testament to show who these people are, right? And we're going to grab them in the New Testament as well. Go ahead and read.
1 Chronicles 17 and 22. For thy people Israel didst thou make thine own people forever, and thou, Yahweh, became their God.
How long is forever, Aman?
It's beyond what I can explain to you.
So it's pretty safe to say that forever hasn't come and gone?
It's still here.
It's still here, right? Right, okay. Grab Exodus 19 and 4.
Exodus 19 and 4. Ye have seen what I did to the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself.
Because the Most High brought us out of captivity, right? Read.
Now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people. For all the earth is mine.
So this is the Most High God, the God, creator of everything, letting his people know, letting Israel know that if we will obey his voice, right, to keep his covenant, then we will be put over all people. Read.
And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and of a holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel.
So not any other nations, but the children of Israel have the opportunity to become a kingdom of priests and a holy nation, right? Let's go to Romans chapter 9, and we're going to see the same thing in the New Testament, showing that, in the Old Testament as well as in the New Testament, the story is the same. It's Israel, right? Go ahead and read. Verse 3.
Romans 9 and 3. For I could wish that myself were accursed from Christ for my brethren.
This is Paul talking about his brethren, right? Read.
My kinsmen according to the flesh.
According to the flesh. So according to the patrilineage, right? And according to the sons who bear the seed, right? That is how you know who you are. It has nothing to do with the mother, but the father who the seed is decides what your lineage is, decides what your heritage is, decides what people you are, right? So if your father is a Moabite, then you're a Moabite. It doesn't matter what your mother is, because the father is with the seed, and that's how Israel had always kept track of who they were by keeping records that show their patrilineage, right? So let's keep reading. Where are you at? You're at verse 4. Read.
Who are Israelites, to whom pertaineth the adoption?
So who are Israelites, right? According to the flesh, who pertaineth the adoption. Read.
And the glory.
Read.
And the covenants.
And the covenants, right?
And the giving of the law.
Because the Most High only gave the law to Israel, and therefore Israel is the only nation that is held by the law, right? Israel is the only nation that can sin against the law because they're the only nation that has the law. Read.
And the service of God and the promises, whose are the fathers, and of whom, as concerning the flesh, Christ, Yahushua, came.
Read.
Who is over all. God bless forever. Amen.
So Israel only, let's go to Matthew 19 and 21. Israel only is that nation who Christ came to save, right? And we'll see that Christ says it out of his own mouth. So this is Paul. He's feeling sorrowful, right? Because he knows what Israel is going through. He knows that a lot of Israel don't know who they are, and even more aren't keeping the commandments. So a lot of Israel is going to be destroyed, and he's feeling a kind of way about his brethren by the flesh, by blood, right? Go ahead and read
19 and 21.
Matthew 15 and 21. No, you were there.
Oh, well, this page. Matthew 15 and 21. Then Yahushua went thence and departed into the coasts of Tyre and Sidon.
So this is Yahushua on his journeys. Read.
And behold, a woman of Canaan came out from the same coast.
This is not an Israelite. This is a Canaanite. Read.
And cried unto him, saying, Have mercy on me, O Lord, thou son of David.
Thou Israelite. Read.
My daughter is grievously vexed with the devil.
So this is a Canaanite woman begging Christ to help her because her daughter is vexed or made mad with a spirit, right? Read.
But he answered her not a word.
He answered her not a word. He didn't even acknowledge her. This is Christ, Yahushua, not acknowledging a Canaanite woman, another who is of another nation. He's completely ignoring her, and she's asking for help, right? This is not the Jesus that you've heard about in Christianity. That Jesus would never ignore another being, right? But let's keep reading. Go ahead.
And his disciples came and besought him, saying, Send her away, for she crieth after us.
Read.
But he answered and said, I'm not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
So the Most High, or Yahushua, Salakia, Yahushua, didn't answer didn't answer her at all. He ignored her. And the disciples that were with him came to him and said, hey, send this lady away, right? She keeps bothering us. She's following us. And he still not responding to her, replied to them. He's like, but I'm only sent to Israel. I'm only here to save Israel. Like, who is she? She's nothing, right? Read.
Then came she and worshipped him, saying, Lord, help me. But he answered and said, it's not meet to take the children's bread and cast it to dogs.
So he's saying, look, it's not good for me to take what I brought to Israel and give it to dogs, to other people who don't matter, who aren't anything, right? That wouldn't be wise of me, right? Go ahead and read.
And she said, truth, Lord, yet the dogs eat of the crumbs which fall from their master's tables.
So this woman was incredibly faithful, right? She truly believed who Christ was and truly believed that Christ had the power to cure her daughter. And she acknowledged that she was nothing less than she was a dog. And she was absolutely not deserving of the gifts that Christ brought, right? The gift of salvation, the gift of repentance, right? She wasn't, she knew that it wasn't for her, but she still had faith that Christ, Yahweh Shai, would help her, in her humility, right? And that's exactly what Christ did. Read.
Then Yahweh Shai answered and said unto her, O woman, great is thy faith. Be it unto thee even as thou wilt. And her daughter was made whole from that very hour.
So Christ healed her daughter, but he didn't give her or her daughter salvation, right? It has nothing to do with her nation. He just healed her daughter and went about his way, right? Here you go. Here are some morsels. Be on your way, lady. Let's grab Revelations 21 and 12. So the point there again is even in the New Testament, we're seeing from Christ himself, Yahweh Shai himself, that salvation is only for Israel. He only came to save Israel, right? This important nation, the nation that the Most High has chosen to himself. Read.
Revelations 21 and 12.
So this is the last book of the Bible, the second to last chapter of the Bible. Read.
And had a wall great and high, and had 12 gates.
This is describing of the city, right? Read.
And the gates 12 angels.
So there were 12 gates and 12 angels at every gate, right? Read.
And names written thereon, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel.
So you're only going to get in if you're one of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel, right? Not any other nation. That's what the gates are signifying, right? That only Israel has a chance to get salvation. So now we know that Israel of the Bible is black. We know that while they are black people, they are not black like the Egyptians, right? Who are descendants of Ham, and who their land is Ham, which is now Africa, right? And we know that we are a separate and holy people that the Most High God has chosen, and they are not, right? These other nations are not. So now, let's find out why we are just now coming into this information, right? Let's find out why this information hadn't been passed down to us from generation to generation. Grab Judges chapter 2 and verse 11.
Judges 2 and 11. And the children of Israel did evil in the sight of Yahweh and served Baalim.
So Israel is doing evil and they're serving other gods, right? And that is a no. You don't do that. Read.
And they forsook Yahweh, the God of their fathers, which brought them out of the land of Egypt, and followed other gods, of the gods of the people that were round about them, and bowed themselves unto them, and provoked Yahweh to anger.
The Most High God said not to follow after other gods because that was going to make him get angry. He's a very jealous God. Read.
And they forsook Yahweh and served Baal and Ashtaroth, and the anger of Yahweh was hot against Israel, and he delivered them into the hands of spoilers that spoiled them, and he sold them into the hands of their enemies round about, so that they could not any longer stand before their enemies.
Read.
Excuse me. Whithersoever they went out, the hand of Yahweh was against them for evil, as the Lord had said, and as the Yahweh has sworn unto them, and they were greatly distressed.
So the Most High put Israel into captivity for breaking the commandments, for serving other gods, right? Let's get another instance of 2 Kings 17 and 1. And what we're going to see is if you read the Bible, which you should, don't take my word for it, right? Go into the Bible and you'll see time and time again how Israel kept the laws and then didn't keep the laws, and what had happened to them when they kept the laws, and what happened to them when they didn't keep the laws. And more often than not, when they didn't keep the laws, they went into captivity, right? Read.
2 Kings 17 and 1. In the 12th year of Ahaz, king of Judah, began Hoshea, the son of Elah, to reign in Samaria over Israel 9 years.
Read.
And he did that was evil in the sight of Yahweh, but not as the kings of Israel that were before him.
So this is the king of Judah, Hoshea, right? Ruling over Israel, right? Mm-hmm. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, right? He broke the commandments. Drop down to verse 6 and let's find out what happened.
In the 9th year of Hoshea, the king of Assyria took Samaria and carried Israel away into Assyria.
So the king of Assyria took over the land and carried Israel away into his land, right? Read.
And placed them in Halah and Habor by the river of Gozan, and in the cities of the Medes.
Read.
For so it was that the children of Israel had sinned against Yahweh, their God.
So all the children of Israel had sinned against the Most High, right? Read.
Which had brought them up out of the land of Egypt from under the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and had feared other gods.
Right, read.
And walked in the statutes of the heathen.
So we walked, we basically lived like these other nations, right? We took on their cultures, we took on their practices, and we forsook our culture and our God. Read.
Whom Yahweh cast out from before the children of Israel, and of the kings of Israel, which they had made.
Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 9. And so we're seeing, here's an instance under Hoshea, where Israel sinned and were taken into captivity because the Most High was not pleased. He was incredibly angry. Right? Read. Verse 13.
Jeremiah 9 and 13. And the Lord Yahweh said, because they have forsaken my law, which I set before them, and have not obeyed my voice, neither walked therein.
So because they've forsaken our laws, right? Because they have refused to do what it is that I've commanded them to do. Read.
But have walked after the imagination of their own heart, and after Baalim,
another god. Read.
Which their fathers taught them.
Which not only them, but they were taught by their fathers. Read.
Therefore, thus said Yahweh of hosts, armies, the God of Israel.
The God of Israel. Read.
Behold, I will feed them, even this people, with wormwood, and give them water of gall to drink.
So he's going to give them poison and liquid that is not refreshing, right? Read.
I will scatter them also among the heathen.
So we're going to be scattered among the other nations. Read.
Whom neither they nor their fathers have known.
Who they've never encountered before. Read.
And I will send a sword after them till I have consumed them.
And they're going to be consumed by violence, right? Go to Deuteronomy 28 and 1. so we can get just a clearer picture, right? But what we can see here is when Israel sins, when they go after other gods, when they break the commandments, the Most High God puts us in captivity, and He allows other nations to overcome us and rule over us, right? Read.
Deuteronomy 28:1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of Yahweh thy God,
So if we should do what our God has told us to do, we should keep the commandments. Read.
and observe and do all his commandments, which I command thee this day,
Read.
that Yahweh thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth.
So if we do what the Most High God has commanded us to do, we keep His laws, statutes, and commandments, then He is going to see that as a people, we are high above all other people. We'll be rulers of these other nations, right? Read.
And all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee,
And we will be blessed overwhelmingly. Read.
if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of Yahweh your God.
If we listen to our God, our Creator, right? So if you read 3 through 14, you'll see all of the blessings that the Most High would bestow upon us, Israel, if we obeyed and kept His commandments, right? Go to verse 15. Let's find out what happens when Israel doesn't keep the commandments. Go ahead.
Con. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not listen and hearken unto the voice of Yahweh thy God,
Read.
to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day,
So if you refuse to listen, read.
that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
And so from 16 to 68 is curses that the Most High God is going to put on His people Israel perpetually throughout their generations, throughout time, right, until the end, if Israel does not obey, if Israel does not keep the commandments, right? So let's get a few of them. Go ahead and read verse 16.
Verse 16, cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field.
So we've been cursed in the city and in the field, right? We are the ones who, blacks and Hispanics now, and we have been the ones who have gone out and had to pick cotton and other crops from the fields, right? We were the tillers of the field by force more often than not. And we're the ones in the cities, everywhere that you go, we're the bottom of society, right? We live in the ghettos, in the poor neighborhoods. We're the ones who, for whatever reason, can't seem to get out of our situation of poverty and our poor health and our poor mindset, right? There are some other there's a bunch of other curses, right? Like we'll be scattered. You can see in verse 64. You can see in verse 66 that we will live in fear, which we do. We don't have the luxury of walking out of our front doors and into the world, and feeling like we won't run into any issues. We won't have any problems with authority. We're just not those people who are given those assurances in this society, right? We will be for a sign and wonder, verse 46. We'll worship other gods, wood and stone. That wood being the cross, which is crazy, right? That's definitely idolatry, and stone. Which is also idolatry. That cross, that wood, it's amazing how modern day Christianity has convinced people that the representation of Christ, the Son of the Most High God who came to save us, the instrument that was used to kill him, is how we should represent him. That's wild, right? It didn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but I didn't question it when I was in the world. Now that I'm in the truth, it just blows me away, right? That so many people have been blinded, right? But that's what the scriptures say. So you also see verse 43, how the stranger shall get above us and we shall be below. And let's get verse 68. Go ahead and read that.
Verse 68 in Deuteronomy. And the Lord Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
So the first time that the Most High brought us into Egypt, into captivity, it wasn't in ships. We walked in and we walked out, right?
By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
So this time he's saying that he's going to bring us into Egypt again, right? Or bring us into bondage a second time. And this time it's going to be with ships, right? And which people were brought into bondage or slavery with ships? The transit. Lots of nations have been brought into slavery throughout time, and even some with ships, right? But the most notable, overwhelmingly, is the transatlantic slave trade, right? Surely by the numbers, and that was black people being brought from Africa and Spain and Portugal, Europe, over to the Americas. The transatlantic slave trade, and here it is in the curses that are going to be put on Israel. That is one of the things that's going to happen, right? If we do not obey, we're going to be brought again by ships into bondage, and we will be sold unto our enemies. Who was sold in the Americas? It was black people. We were sold, and our enemy then must be the people that sold us, or that bought us, right? The people that sold and bought us, right? These other nations, specifically the white people, right? They're the ones who the Bible says are our enemies right here, right? We were sold to our enemies by bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you, right? Or no man shall save you or redeem you, right? No one is going to save us, right? Grab Exodus 20 and 2.
Exodus 20 and verse 2. Oh, shoot. I am Yahweh, thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage.
So here we see that Egypt is the house of bondage, right? Egypt means bondage, right? Grab verse 29. And so if we go back to Deuteronomy 28 and 68, right, at the end where it says, no man shall buy you, that means that you're not going to be redeemed, right? We're not going to have anyone that's going to save Israel from this bondage, right? And we've had plenty of black figures that have tried and failed, right? 28 and 29. So we've had plenty of figures who have tried to save the black people, right, and have failed due largely to the systematic pressures, the crimes committed against them, right? Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, Huey Newton, and Fred Hampton, right, and Louis Farrakhan. All of these men have tried to redeem or save the black people and have failed. Because at the end of the day, it's not going to take one person. It's going to take the whole of us to get back to obeying these commandments, right? Go ahead and read that when you have it.
Deuteronomy 28 and 29. And thou shalt grope at noonday as the blind gropeth in darkness.
So we're going to be groping at the light as the blind gropeth in darkness, right? So when you're blind, you can't see anything to begin with, right? But then in complete darkness, you doubly can't see anything, right? So you're completely lost, right? With no chance of being found. Read.
And thou shalt not prosper in thy ways.
So we're not gonna be prosperous as a people at all, right? Read.
And thou shalt only be oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee.
And that's what we're seeing with the blacks, Hispanics, and natives in this land. We're seeing that we're being spoiled and we're not going to be saved, right? And not for our best efforts, right? Because there was a time in our recent history where blacks were able to have a bit of success, right? We were able to build up our own prosperous towns, right? Where we were self-sufficient, where we relied and worked and built with one another, and we didn't rely on these other nations. And what happened? they were destroyed. They were crushed, right? Seneca Village, Rosewood in Florida, Wilmington, North Carolina, and the main one. Black Wall Street. You can actually look these up. Tulsa, Oklahoma. You can look these up, and you can see that for no reason other than madness, these places were destroyed. Right. Well, the actual means behind it was madness, but the meaning behind it was punishment. Right. We are still in the curses, and just like the Bible says, no matter how prosperous we try to be, no matter our best efforts, if we're not keeping the commandments, if we're not doing what our God has commanded we do, then we're not going to be prosperous, right? We're not going to get into the light. We're going to be destroyed and continue to be oppressed, right? You can also see this in the systematic systems that they put up against us, right? The school to prison pipeline, the redlining and the housing discriminations, employment discrimination and wage gaps. Blacks and browns make considerably less than our other nation counterparts, and the mass incarceration and over policing of our peoples, specifically black people. Right? Grab Hosea 4 and 6. So not only are we not able to overcome these curses on our own, and you can see it very clearly, despite any efforts that black or brown people make, we're continually stuck in the bottom in this state of the lowest. Right? Read.
Hosea 4 and 6. My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge.
It says that my people, Israel, is destroyed for a lack of knowledge, right? Because we've been sinning for so long, we've been in this captivity for so long, we've been cursed for so long that we've forgotten who we are. Read. We don't have the knowledge of our forefathers. It didn't have the opportunity to get passed down to us. Read.
Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee.
So we're going to be rejected because our forefathers rejected the knowledge of the Most High. Read.
That thou shalt be no priest to me.
Read.
Seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy God.
Seeing how we've forgotten the law, statutes, and commandments. Read.
I will also forget your children.
The Most High is going to forget not only that generation, but the children to come. Read. Jeremiah 17 and 4. You got to preach?
No, that's the one I was.
Okay. All praises, Spirit. You see that? Man, all praises.
Jeremiah 17 and 4.
So we just read another judgment for our disobedience. This is why we don't have the knowledge of salvation, right? And that's why we're destroyed today. Read.
And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee.
Read.
And I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not.
You can see that in Deuteronomy 28, and we read that, right? We've been brought to a land that is not ours, and we're serving a people which we do not belong to. Read.
For ye have kindled a fire in my anger, which shall burn forever.
Forever that fire shall burn, right? Perpetually, because of the sins that we've committed, right? And when we're going to get to that actually, right? Grab Lamentations 4 and 17. That was the first one that you got. Yep. Lamentations 4 and 17 when you got it.
As for us, our eyes as yet failed for our vain help. In our watching, we have watched for a nation that could not save us.
We're not going to be saved. Read.
They hunt our steps.
Instead, they what?
They hunt our steps.
Read.
That we cannot go in our streets.
And well, I didn't read it, but we talked about it earlier, how one of the curses is that when we step out into these streets, we can't be assured that we're going to return home safely, right? We can't be assured that we're not going to be gunned down by some overzealous cop, assuming that we're committing a crime, right? Read.
Our end is near, our days are fulfilled, for our end is come.
Read.
Our persecutors are swifter than the eagles of heaven.
Our persecutors are swifter than the eagles of heaven, right? Eagles don't have a whole lot of issues catching their prey, right? Because that's what they are built for. They are purpose built, right? The same with our enemies. They are purpose built to keep us of sin if we continue to sin, right? They're purposely built to keep us in this oppression. Read.
They pursued us upon the mountains and laid wait for us in the wilderness.
Psalms 83, we're going to start at verse 4. So what we saw was a description of a people who are purposely built to relentlessly pursue us, right? And we're not going to be saved for them lest we keep the commandments, right? Read.
They've said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation.
This is what these other nations have said about Israel. Read.
That the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance.
So because of what they've done, because of them coming together and deciding that they're going to combine their efforts to destroy us, they've been able to do this to the point where we no longer know who we are. Read.
For they have consulted together with one consent, and they're confederate against thee.
So they're confederate. They've consulted together with us. Read.
The tabernacles of Edom.
Read.
And the Ishmaelites of Moab and the Hagarenes.
Read.
Gibal and Ammon and Amalek, the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre. Ashur is also joined with them. They have hope in the children of Lot. Selah.
So all of these other nations have come against Israel, right? To make sure that we forget who we are, the chosen people, and make sure what our and forget what our destiny is, right? But why? Why have they done this, right? Let's find out. Go to Judith 5:17. We're going to find out, well, we know why, right? Because as long as we're in oppression, as long as they're over us, they can continue to rule over us, right?
Judith 5:17.
So that's their motivation. Their motivation is to consort against us. So every other nation on this planet is working to make sure that Israel does not remember who we are and does not turn away from the world, turn away from their cultures and back to our culture, right? They're cavorted together to do this. Read.
And whilst they sinned not before their God, they prospered, because the God that hateth iniquity was with them.
So what this is the understanding of our enemy. This is their understanding of Israel, right? They understand that while we do not sin, which we went over earlier, we were prosperous, and you can see that in the Bible. You can see that when we as a people did not sin or cried out and turned away from sin and turned back to keeping the laws, the Most High saved us and blessed us, right? Read.
But when they departed from the way which he appointed them, they were destroyed in many battles, very sore.
We saw that. Read.
And were led captives into a land that was not theirs.
We see that many a times. Read.
And the temple of their God was cast to the ground, and their cities were taken by the enemies.
Read.
But now are they returned to their God, and are come up from the places where they were scattered.
Read.
And have possessed Jerusalem, where their sanctuary is, and are seated in the hill country, for it was desolate.
So they've returned to their God, right? And now they have their own land, and they're doing their own thing. Read.
Now therefore, my Lord and governor, if there be any error in this people, and they sin against their God, let us consider that this shall be their ruin, and let us go up, and we shall overcome them.
So this is one of the other nations with the understanding that when Israel keeps the commandments, they can't be beat. But if there's even a little bit of sin amongst them, then there is certainly the opportunity to come up over them, right, and to destroy them and to overtake them and to put them into captivity, right? So this is what's being explained to the governor, right? Go ahead and read.
But if there be no iniquity in their nation, let my Lord now pass by, lest their Lord defend them, and their God be for them, and we become a reproach before all the world.
Judges 3 and 7. So here we can see that these other nations know very well how to keep us in oppression, right? They have to keep us in sin. And so all of their efforts are to that, right? That's why they pump this wickedness into our culture, into our music, into our neighborhoods, into the things that we watch, the things that we read and listen to. They want us to do everything but what this Bible tells us to do. They want us to do everything but keep the commandments, right? That's why the Sabbath was changed from Saturday to Sunday, right? To convince us to not keep the Sabbath, but keep Sunday instead, right? And worship another God. That's why they have all these holidays, right? That are actually pagan celebrations to other gods that we have conformed to keeping, right? Just like we did in Greece and Rome. Because we've turned away, we've forgotten who we are, we've forgotten our culture, we've forgotten our heritage because we chose not to keep the commandments, right? That's why we are in this perpetual oppression, because we are not, we haven't kept the commandments, we haven't done what our Father has commanded us to do, right? Go ahead and read that.
And the children of Israel did evil in the sight of Yahweh, and forgot Yahweh their God, and served Baalim and the groves.
Here's another example of Israel doing evil. Read.
Therefore the anger of Yahweh was hot against Israel, and he sold them into the hand of Cushan Arishamethim, king of Mesopotamia. And the children of Israel served Cushan Rishathim 8 years.
So this is another example of Israel doing evil and the Most High putting us in captivity by having another nation overtake us, right? Let's see what happens. Read.
And when the children of Israel cried unto Yahweh, Yahweh raised up a deliverer to the children of Israel, who delivered them, even Othniel, the son of Kenaz, Caleb's younger brother.
And so when Israel cried out, right, they were given a savior. Read.
And the spirit of Yahweh came upon him, and he judged Israel and went out to war.
Read.
And Yahweh delivered Cushan Rishathaim, king of Mesopotamia, into his hand.
So the spirit of the Most High came upon Othniel, and he judged Israel, right? So he judged in righteousness, which means that he judged righteously for the sins that Israel was committing, and he got them back on the straight and narrow, keeping the commandments. Read.
And his hand prevailed against Cushan Rishathaim.
And so when he went out to war, the Most High was with him because they were repented and keeping the commandments again, and they prevailed against the king of Mesopotamia, right? Grab Deuteronomy 30 and 1. So here we see one example of many where when Israel kept the commandments, or when they went into captivity and they turned away from sinning and turned back and asked for the Most High's mercy and did His commandments, they were saved. They prevailed against the other nations, right? And so the key there is to keep the commandments. And so now that we know who we are the same Israelites, these black people in the Bible. We know that we are not the same as the other nation, the other black people, which are descendants of Ham. We know that we are the Most High's chosen people, and that he has put very high expectations on us, right? Keeping his commandments. And when we do, we're blessed. And when we don't, we're cursed, right? And we know what those cursings look like. We know that we continue to go in and come out of captivity, right? And now we have an understanding that to get out of captivity, the way that Israel has always gotten out of captivity is to turn away from the cultures and the customs of these heathen nations, these other nations, and to turn back to our culture and keeping our commandments and keeping the word of the Most High God, right? That's how he will begin to show favor on us, right? Go ahead and read that when you've got it.
30:1.
30:1.
Deuteronomy 30:1. And it shall come to pass, when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse.
And we've seen at times where Israel has been blessed, and certainly we've experienced when Israel is being cursed. Read.
Which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations, whither the Lord Yahweh thy God have driven thee.
We're also starting to see that, right, where we are starting to get prophets who are studying and understanding this word for themselves rather than going off of what these heathen nations are telling us, and getting the understanding and getting the wisdom, right, and are able to break down this Bible precept upon precept and give it back to our people, give it back to our brethren, give it back to the children of Israel, right? Read.
And shall return unto Yahweh thy God, and shall obey his voice according to all that I commanded thee this day.
So we're starting to turn back to keeping these commandments, right? We're starting to understand again who we are, and we're starting to spread this word, spread this gospel, just like it was with Yahweh Shai and his disciples, right? We're starting to cry out on the streets again and letting our people know who we are, and that we need to repent and we need to turn away from sin and turn back to keeping these commandments. Read.
Thou and thy children with all thine heart and with all thy soul. That even then Yahweh thy God will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations where the Yahweh thy God have scattered thee.
Revelations 14:12. So the Most High is going to have mercy on us once the number, once 1/3, as the scriptures say, turns away from this world and gets back to keeping these commandments, right? Then he's going to save us. He's going to redeem us from this captivity. He's going to take us out of this captivity and make us rulers of this world again, right? We're going to rule in righteousness, not like these other nations have ruled. And because we're ruling in righteousness, keeping these commandments that we're practicing right now, all the people of the world are going to be blessed, right? Because we're going to be moving in order, we're going to be moving with wisdom, and we're going to be moving perfectly. All right, go ahead and read that.
Revelations 14:12. Here's the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God and the faith of Yahweh Shai.
So if we want to get salvation, right, if we want to turn out of this captivity, since we know who we are now, the last thing that we need to do is keep these commandments, right? We got to keep these commandments, and we will have the opportunity for salvation. If you don't have anything.
No.
I appreciate you taking your time to think about it, and with that, we'll say shalom and have a great evening.
Yes, sir.